Recall that on the 18th of March 2024, the National Boundary Commission, Abuja, made a publication of literal communities in the various states in the first schedule to the Federal Republic of Nigeria Official Gazette number 48, Volume 3, Government Notice number 8, in line with the provisions of the Petroleum Act to the exclusion of Egbema oil and gas producing communities. Basically, the said gazette listed communities from state to state of communities that are regarded as littoral communities. And in perusing through the gazette, we discovered that not a single community from Egbema was listed in it, even though we have communities in the offshore. Egbema oil and gas littoral communities are host to Chevron and other multinational oil companies operating in our kingdom, and have entered several MOUs of understanding, Memorandum of Understanding, before the introduction of the Petroleum Act, but were inadvertently omitted when the first schedule to the Gazette was published by the National Boundary Commission Abuja as littoral communities within the 500 meters buffer along the coastline of Warri North local government area. It's interesting to also mention here, His Excellency, that prior to the introduction of the PIA, or the enactment of the PIA, there used to be the offshore GMOU that Chevron signed with communities from Ogola, Baramatu, and Egbema Kingdom. And we were beneficiaries in the offshore operations prior to the PIA. And we are taught that the PIA coming on board would have consolidated and improved on our position. But in the listing, in the publication that was made through via the Gazette that I've just cited, our communities were completely omitted. Based on the foregoing, we wrote several correspondences to your office. The dates of the correspondences are stated for the omission of our communities in the Gazette in reference. And then on the 3rd of July, we wrote a letter to the National Boundary Commission Abuja, and we also paid a visit on the 25th to express our displeasure and to also state the fact that our communities were omitted. Again, we wrote another letter to the National Boundary Commission, Abuja, and we also visited the Commission's office on the 26th of September. At that time, the Director General of the National Boundary Commission, Abuja, admitted the fact that our claims were genuine, and that the omission will be corrected to include our communities. But at that point, he did inform us that they will only be able to act if His Excellency's office, as the chairman of the boundary committee from the state, if he writes to them and instruct them, then they will be able to come and carry out a cartographic assessment with a view to establishing coordinates for our communities. It is also worthy to mention here, His Excellency, that on our own, we got surveyors to also carry out the cartographic exercise, and all our communities, their coordinates, and those that from the assessment of the DG will fall within the mandatory 100 meters buffer zone are captured. And he did acknowledge that. So for our request this afternoon, sir, is that His Excellency will cause a letter to be written to the National Boundary Commission to enable them to come and carry out the exercise so that our communities will be properly captured and we can continue to enjoy the peace and development that the current administration is putting in place. We therefore request that the State Boundary Commission, under your distinguished chairmanship, should write a letter of authority to National Boundary Commission to enable them act on our letter. The inclusion is of right as stated in the Petroleum Act. We attach here with the coordinates of our literal communities for ease of reference and consequential action. So the list are attached there, sir. We also want to use this medium to commend Your Excellency and the government of Delta State for the massive infrastructural development that is going on in the state, which those of us who are from the riverine communities are also feeling the effect of it. I must state here that on behalf of the good people of Egbema Kingdom, we want to thank His Excellency for the Ogbembido Township Road, a 2-kilometer road project that has just been completed. And just in the last state ESCO, another 2-kilometer extension was approved to cover areas that were not covered in the first exercise. We know that as it is where, you know, despite all this, they said Oliver Twist, you always ask for more. His Excellency, we know you have started on a very good note. There is still a lot that can still be done. We want to use this medium, the privilege of being before the King, to request that His Excellency continue to look into our areas. There are some new projects that are before the Ministry of Riverine Infrastructure, that His Excellency will look into it with a view to continue to bring the dividends of democracy to our people. At this junction, we want to pledge our loyalty and unallied support to the government led by His Excellency Right Honorable Francis Sheriff Obrowori, Governor of Delta State. Thank you for your attention in this matter, and God bless you. Long live